Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
Positronic hypersonic.
I am Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the season 2 premiere of Gen V. It was a 3-episode premiere, so we got a few episodes to get through here. The first one was called New Year, New You, with the U being just the letter U. As the episode starts as a flashback that shows behavioral scientist and God U founder Thomas Godolkin scrambling to reach a research facility room where 5 other scientists are injecting themselves with Compound B, the blue chemical that, gives people their superpowers. He tries to tell them that the serum isn't ready, that they shouldn't inject it, but he's too late. And the scientists have already injected themselves, and seconds later, they start experiencing grotesque and awful side effects. One starts throwing up blood, the other, throwing up blood like crazy. Another one just bursts into flames like the Human Torch, and it was just awful. In fact, the lab room, which is labeled Odessa Project, becomes engulfed in flames, and Thomas passes out before he can pull the fire alarm. Back in the present, a new school semester is starting, and God U is trying to revamp following the campus massacre at the end of last season. Although Kate Dunlap and Sam Riordan instigated the chaotic event, they were labeled as the new heroic guardians of Godolkin, while Marie, Andre, Emma, and Jordan were framed as the villains behind it. But after months of imprisonment, Jordan and Emma are freed and taken from the Elmira Adult Rehabilitation Center to God U, where Kate welcomes them back thanks to a deal that she struck with Vought. The cover story for this is that Jordan and Emma have been exonerated after being wrongfully accused and are relabeled as guardians of Godolkin. But when Kate notices that Andre isn't with them, she gets confused. She then reads Jordan's mind and learns that Andre died and becomes emotional. Of course, last year, the school dean died, so now there's a new dean. And it turns out that he's this mysterious soup called Cypher, who Jordan and Emma are immediately suspicious of, especially since Jordan remembers seeing him at the correctional facility. When Kate confronts him about Andre's death and attempts to use her powers on him, he sticks her arm in a powered-on blender, hovering her hand over the blades, and then he reminds her that he's in control, not her, and if she really wants to help, she should find Marie, who is on the lam. She's been on the run since she broke out of Elmira, but accidentally blows her cover when she gets in the middle of a confrontation between some Homelanders fan club, and Starlighters, Starlight's fan club. She fights the Homelanders, in fact, using her bloodbending powers, and a video of the destruction that she wrought with it ends up going viral on social media. And then a soup named Dognot locates her at a motel using his bloodhound-like tracking skills, and he fights with her as well, trying to inject her with a syringe. Just as he's about to succeed, Marie is saved from him by Starlight. Of course, she goes by Annie, and she explains that she needs Marie's help digging into the Odessa Project. She says that Thomas Godolkin was Frederick Vaught's right-hand man who spearheaded the research program, and that the project is the main reason he started the school. According to her source, Vought is resuming the program, and she needs Marie to find out what they're researching, so she and some undisclosed people, her boys' friends, I guess, can stop it. But Marie isn't interested in running back into the belly of the beast, as it were. She's more concerned with trying to track down her estranged sister, Annabeth. Meanwhile, Emma visits Andre's dad, Polarity, hoping he'll help her figure out more about Cypher, but he's too distraught over his son's death and is in fact drowning his sorrows in alcohol. So Emma goes to a frat party at God U, and there she runs into Sam. After telling Sam that Andre died, Emma runs into the bathroom crying and accidentally shrinks herself. Sam, of course, is a bit shaken up over Andre, and he asks Kate if he died because of what the two of them did. In response, Kate puts her hand on Sam's face and uses her persuasive powers to manipulate him into feeling nothing. While still at the party, Emma sees the Homelander video on TikTok and realizes that Marie must have been behind it. The video is geotagged as having originated in the nearby city of Weehawken, and Emma wants to head over there, but Jordan is still angry with Marie for leaving the two of them and Andre behind at Elmira when she escaped. But they do successfully find Marie, and Jordan immediately confronts her about ditching them. She reveals to Marie that Andre is dead, and we finally learn what happened to him. He died trying to get them all out. He ended up trying to use his powers to open a sealed door, and it was too much for him, given that he had a heart condition and he died. Then Kate, who secretly followed Emma and Jordan, interrupts and reiterates that all she wants is for them to all be safe. Kate then reads Marie's mind and learns that she ran into Annie, telling Marie that she has to report the encounter to Vought because, of course, Starlight is also on the run, and if they find out on their own, they'll torture and kill Marie. She, in fact, reaches her hand out to try to push Marie into complying, but Jordan interrupts and uses their energy blasting powers to shove Kate backwards, hitting a wall, and she ends up on the ground. Marie tries to use her powers to heal her, to put her spilling blood back in her body, basically, but Kate's skull is broken and blood just keeps spilling out. The only way they could possibly help would be to put pressure on the injury, but they can't let Kate touch them because she'll use her powers on them. So everybody kind of just leaves her behind, and that's where the episode ends. The second episode was called Justice Never Forgets. As it starts, Emma is forcing Marie to make a public video stating that she's back at God U, the safest place for her. Jordan keeps making comments about Marie leaving them and blames Andre's death on her. The next day, every student on campus has seen the video. Marie then finds herself in Cypher's office, where he welcomes her back half-heartedly and talks to Marie about how Andre was a ticking time bomb like his father, as he had some neural imbalances which worsened every time he used his powers. He tells Marie that Kate survived her vicious attack and is in the hospital recovering. Word spreads on campus about the attack and how the most marginalized race, the superheroes, are under attack. Jordan, Marie, and Emma talk about Kate surviving, and Emma suggests that they go to the hospital to kill her, as they could be punished for what happened to her if they don't, if she is able to tell anyone. Jordan is totally against this, but Marie begins to consider it. Meanwhile, Kate is undergoing treatment at the hospital when Sam shows up to try to figure out what happened to her. Kate's hand touches one of the nurses, and the nurse reveals the last line that Kate said before passing out, which of course ties her accident to Emma. Meanwhile, Polarity shows up at God U as a faculty member teaching history. Cypher welcomes him and offers his condolences for what happened to Andre, making a point to mention how they both suffered from the same health issues. Meanwhile, Modesty Monarch, the modesty teacher, teaches students about how feminism is ruining America and asks the students to use their platforms to voice their thoughts about the attack on Kate. She makes it a point to tell Emma how Cypher compelled her to make sure Emma completes the assignment. Marie, at the same time, is using her own social media to talk about Kate's accident to keep her name out of the incident. Jordan finds the file about Andre's health and is upset that no one told them about the real cause of Andre's death. Stacy shows up in their dorm room to introduce herself to Marie. She tells Marie and Jordan that they have both been selected to attend Cypher's Hero Optimization Seminar. Cypher then implies that the seminar will help the Soup see how their powers work. It becomes clear that Cypher wants Marie dead or badly injured because he sicks the Viking named Vicor on her, and he attacks the students quite strongly. Jordan helps Marie, and they end up pressing the button to end the class as Marie stops Vicor's heart by controlling his blood supply. Cypher is unbothered by the effect of this exercise and what it had on some of the students, which leaves Jordan, Marie, and all the other students confused. At the cafeteria, Polarity finds Emma taking Xanax to help her anxiety. He takes her to his cabin and reveals that he's willing to investigate Andre's death and that he's at God U under the guise of being a teacher. Emma tries to calm Polarity down and talks to him about Project Odessa, as mentioned by Starlight to Marie. They decide to investigate it. Marie tries to talk to Jordan about what happened at Elmira and regrets never coming back for them. They end up clearing the air by talking about their pleasant memories of Andre, and in the process kind of have a little moment and end up going to bed together. Marie, in fact, ends up confessing that she loves them during this interlude, leaving Jordan shocked. Coincidentally, Polarity takes Emma to the archive library to access the files on Dr. Godolkin to learn more about Project Odessa. Emma gets high after taking too much Xanax, which apparently wasn't Xanax. She convinces the curator, Kyle, that she's a fan and gets access to the archive library. However, she and Polarity end up finding a secret chamber that has a lot of questionable props, translation Nazi memorabilia, stored in it. She picks up a file containing information connected to Marie and suddenly turns into Giant Emma due to the effect of the drugs in her system. At the frat party, which is still going on, Sam asks the Deep, who's there, if Homelander is looking into the person who attacked Kate, as there's been no report about Emma being involved. The Deep ignores Sam, but another student confirms that it was Emma. Sam confronts her as she's leaving the archive library with Polarity. She reminds him that Kate is the reason for his brother's and Andre's death. She walks away telling Sam that he's being brainwashed and needs to open his eyes. That night, the students celebrate as the humans that attacked Kate, which there weren't any, are caught and killed by Dognot and others. The news reveals that one of these people is the young boy whom Marie had saved from being attacked. Marie and Jordan are shocked to learn that their actions have been pinned on innocent humans. Emma shows up to tell Marie and Jordan that Marie is connected to Project Odessa, as the file on Project Odessa contained photos of her as an infant. The episode ends with Kate waking up in a room full of dead nurses and doctors as Cypher shows up to pick her up. Third episode was called H is for Human, and it starts with a young woman dreading going to work inside God U. She's human and works as a cafeteria person who's bullied and tormented by the soups. We then move to Marie, Emma, and Jordan at Polarity's house, where they discuss the files from the archive library. Marie tells the team that she'll be meeting with Pam, the woman in the photo, who happens to be a friend of her parents and her sister's foster mother. Polarity checks on Emma, wondering if she's okay, and she reassures him, saying that she doesn't need to binge and purge in order to use her powers anymore. Marie and Jordan, however, are walking on eggshells around each other after what happened the previous night. Elsewhere, the students cheerfully welcome Kate back to God U after the vicious attack that she suffered. Stacy takes Kate to the Hero Optimism class, where Marie is asked to prove herself to Cypher by defeating a fellow student. Cypher claims that the soups are lower in number, and they need to make the most productive use of their powers if they want to win against the large number of humans. In private, Cypher challenges Marie to use her powers without harming herself. Meanwhile, Justine breaks up with Sam, who started acting differently all over again. He starts listening to voices in his head in Kate's absence. Jordan tells Marie that she's probably the chosen one, and that Cypher is trying to unleash her maximum potential, which could make her useful to Vought. Marie tries to clear the air with Jordan and reveals that they're the first person she's ever been with. Jordan finds it odd that Marie confessed her feelings and leaves. Marie finds herself at Pam's house next, where she talks about her late parents and sister. Meanwhile, Stacy starts putting up photos of Jordan all over campus to celebrate their popularity, and she asks them to start endorsing different products on their social media and to follow the Vought narrative about them. Kate confronts Cypher about having to face Marie, Jordan, and Emma every day after they attacked her, and he tells Kate to maintain the narrative that Vought had suggested because involving Homelander in it would force him to look into Kate, who's suffering from neural issues after the accident. He claims Homelander would discover that she's not fit to be a soup and would kick her out of God U. Emma tries to help the cafeteria worker and tries to find the soup who's been bullying her. She stumbles into the boys' changing room and somehow manages to catch the soup, who happens to be Harper. Emma's shocked to learn that Harper can mimic other soup's abilities, and even more so when Harper makes better use of Emma's abilities right in front of her. Harper asks Emma to keep the news from Justine, who would label her as an activist. Coincidentally, Sam seeks Kate to help him calm the voices in his head, but she refuses to help him because of her accident. He gets violent and starts breaking things, destroying the dorms. Jordan tries to calm him down, and together they smoke pot. Marie's conversation with Pam is awkward and dismissive to begin with, and Pam tells Marie that she was conceived at a fertility clinic because she was born using IVF, and her sister, Annabeth, was born naturally despite her parents not being able to conceive previously. Marie feels insecure, but finds a photo of Cypher holding her in one of the photos that Pam has. Pam reveals that Cypher was the doctor who delivered her. Marie then peeks into Annabeth's room and sees traces of her recent visit to Pam's house. She blames Pam for keeping the truth about her sister's visit and whereabouts from her. Pam tells Marie that she's traumatized after what Marie did to their parents. But Marie argues that she's the real victim because she was drugged by her parents against her will when she was an infant. She in fact blames Pam for making her feel that she's a monster and for making Annabeth hate her for no fault of her own. At the same time, Emma asks to join the activist group with Harper and her roommate, Allie. She tells the two that there's something big they could be doing at God U, and to Vought, other than just spray painting on the walls. She wants to sabotage Vought. Cypher gives a speech to all the students about the importance of retaining their ranking system. Jordan finds Marie and confesses their feelings for her, which are the same. They kiss, but just then Jordan's invited on stage to be celebrated for the #1 ranking. Jordan starts to give Stacy's PR written speech, but shapeshifts into their female form and tells the students how Andre died and speaks about how Vought murdered the soups. They come clean, in fact, about attacking Kate, leaving things on a big cliffhanger as the episode ends. So a lot happened in these episodes, as you've just discovered if you haven't watched. And, this is a really good show. I liked it last season quite a bit, and I liked it even better than, the previous season of The Boys. And I love The Boys, but I don't know, I don't feel like that show is as focused as this one, and that it has quite as much heart. So I like Gen V better. It's crazy how they had to write in the death of the Andre character because the actor passed away after being in a motorcycle accident. And I just can't imagine what the actors were going through, like, not having him there and at the same time having to constantly talk about the character and how the character died. So it's like they're talking about the death of this person inside the narrative, and it must be a little crazy. And I'm sure that some of the sadness that we're seeing on screen about the character is genuine, towards the actor. One thing I didn't like about the episodes is that Sam is going crazy again. In the previous season, it was fine when he was going crazy because he wasn't like, mingling with other people. He was kind of out there on his own. But here he's like at the school and taking classes and got a room, yet he's this volatile, crazy person who can bust things up and hurt people. And, why? I mean, they all can, but like he's crazy. So if the only thing keeping him sane is the fact that Kate keeps like, pushing him mentally with her powers, like why isn't he in an institution? I mean, I guess he was, but he was like there against his will and nobody knew he was there. So why they aren't now doing it the right way, it's just crazy, like why they're letting him stay. I mean, there's a scene where he goes crazy and breaks a lot of stuff, and while he's fighting Jordan, and they even crash into a room where the butt guy who can take lots of things in his butt is apparently holding a whole person up there who pokes out after the room is destroyed. But anyway, so I don't get that. I don't think they should have him being crazy, but I guess it's one of the plot points they want to go with. But, I'm all in. I want to know what Project Odessa is, and I want to find out, what Cypher's deal is. That all intrigues me. I found the dog knot character to be quite interesting. He's this character that kind of behaves like a dog and who would seem to also be into dog, possibly people as well, but definitely dogs, just like the deep is into fish, which is crazy. I laughed crazily at the concept of Modesty Monarch. That's just insane. And I love how they're using that character to poke fun at the right. I was really not happy with the fact that Kate survived the accident, not because I want the character to die, but when you hurt a character that badly and their skull is broken way open and they're bleeding out and nobody's helping them, yeah, they don't live. They don't survive. And if they do, they certainly aren't out of the hospital in like 3 days and walking around with a beanie, which they had Kate doing. So I found that to be quite ridiculous. Maybe at some point they'll explain that because she has powers, it made a difference, but I mean, that's just insane. You can't survive that, and you certainly can't get out of recovery in 2 or 3 days if you do survive it. So that's just insane. I'm liking the relationship between Marie and Jordan, though I think it's hotter when Jordan is their female self, but that's just me. I, of course, am enjoying Emma all over again. Little Cricket, she's a fantastic character. I love when she unexpectedly shrinks or grows. It's just hilarious. One thing that bugs me about that, and this is going to sound like I'm being a dirty old man, but like when she gets big, well, even when she's small, they don't show her nudity. And, that would be okay if the show were on the CW. You'd be like, oh, well, they're not going to show nudity on the CW. But this is Prime Video, and they show naked dudes walking around all the time. In fact, in this episode, they show quite a bit of that. And, you can see everything. And it's just not believable to me that we wouldn't see this character's nudity. And yet they always hide it in clever ways in the scenes when she changes and her clothes fall off or burst. And I wonder why they cast this woman if she didn't want to do nudity. I don't really get that. So it just kind of takes me out of it because, they show gross sex stuff all the time. They swear, they show gross gore, but this one character, every time they transform, oh, coincidentally, you can't see anything. Like, it takes me out of it, and it's dumb. And I don't know why they would cast someone who wouldn't sign a nudity, thing. It's a little weird. I mean, if she was great in auditions and whatnot, she was great. But if it doesn't, if it doesn't fit in with the rest of the way the show is to cast them, why would you cast them? I don't know. It bugged me. But there again, they didn't show any nudity on Marie or Jordan. So it's very strange. We haven't seen Starlight with no clothes on either over on The Boys or Maeve, I don't think. So it's just really weird. It's really weird that they have this show that's all about gross stuff and sexual acts and weird kinks, and all the extras are getting naked, but none of the stars do. It's just really weird. That's not typical, of shows. When you have shows like that, usually the stars are also doing nudity. So it just takes me right out of it. It annoys the crap out of me. But at the same time, maybe I think they should just go no nudity because I really do not enjoy seeing the male nudity. My wife does though, so I don't know. Anyway, it's just bizarre. But yeah, this show has a lot of moving parts, and so it keeps your brain working, and I'm really enjoying it. And I can't wait to see what they get up to in episode 4 this coming week. I will, of course, be back to do a breakdown and review of that episode once it's released. But I'm going to get out of here for now. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.